Why do we call letters characters? Why do we call numbers characters? Because they never change. A is always A. B is B at 2 a.m. in the Bronx, in Botswana, in Beijing. 1 is always 1. 2 is always 2. You can set your clock by a character. You can measure your life by a character. Write it down. We call them characters because they are constant. They do not negotiate with the night. Tweet that to somebody right now. That is why we trust them. Pilots trust instruments because the numbers don't wake up moody. Architects trust measurements because inches don't get offended. Farmers trust seasons because autumn doesn't ask for applause to turn leaves. Trust rests on invariance. You only relax around what will be the same today, tomorrow, and under pressure. Whoever walks in integrity walks securely. Proverbs 10:9. Security comes from sameness. Security comes from oneness. That is why the scripture begins with a declaration of oneness. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Deuteronomy 6:4. Holiness is oneness. Integrity is oneness. Integration, no cracks, no double life. No one here and someone else there. Write this down. Character is integrated oneness. Let me define it simply so you never forget. What is character? Character is integrity. What is integrity? Integrity is the self-imposed discipline to remain the same person everywhere, every hour, under every pressure. Character is self-imposed discipline. Not imposed by police, not supervised by applause, not edited by public relations, self-imposed. You can never disagree with the principle. Laws don't negotiate. Gravity does not sign a contract, and if you jump off a 10-story building, you are going to meet the law, not a suggestion. In the same way, the law of character is sameness. If you are not the same at 2 a.m., you do not have character at 2 p.m. when the cameras are on. Write it down. Character is who you are when no one is watching, and it shows up in public without needing editing. Consider a statue. A statue does not adjust to weather. The storm can rage, the sun can bake, the winter can bite, and the statue stands as cast. People can applaud it, they can insult it, they can take selfies with it, they can ignore it, and the statue remains what it is. That is character. Your environment doesn't shape you, your convictions do. Your critics don't sculpt you, your commitments do. Your friends don't refine you, your standards do. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. God inspects the material you are made of, not the paint you applied yesterday. Write it down. Image is paint. Character is stone. Everybody say with me, integrate. Integration means the parts agree. When the private agrees with the public, you are safe. When the secret agrees with the stage, you are free. There is no such thing as a private life. The moment you think there is, you just created a place for decay. Darkness is where rot begins. Light exposes, and whatever cannot survive exposure does not qualify to exist in your life. So lead with your life. Don't lead with your lips. Don't lead with your likes. Lead with your life. Character is the weight of your words. If your life is heavy with integrity, your words don't need volume. I have coached leaders, coached couples, coach CEOs and pastors. Do you know what they all want? They want trust. But you cannot purchase trust. You cannot market trust. Trust is a byproduct of consistency. Are you consistent? Who are you at 2 a.m.? Who are you in a hotel in a strange city? Who are you with the browser closed? Who are you with money that no one tracks? Who are you when a yes will cost you and a no will close the door? Write it down. Character is a pre-decision. If you leave your decisions to moments, the moment will make you its servant. But if you make your decisions before moments arrive, the moment will submit to your standards. God models this in himself. He says, I, the Lord, do not change. Malachi 3:6. That is why we can worship him. If God was moody, we would live in terror. If he adjusted to applause, we would be orphans. His unchanging nature is the foundation of our confidence. So imitate God's constancy. Be one. Be the same. Be whole. That is holiness. Not spooky. Not weird oneness. Integrity. A soul without edits. Write this down and don't miss it. Character is what you decide in private that shows up in public without editing. Your future self is built in secret. Your harvest is planted in hidden fields. You do not rise to the level of the stage. You fall to the level of your standards. Tweet that. You can never disagree with the principle. Let me give you a test. If someone followed you for 30 days with a camera, would they see the same alphabet at dawn and at midnight? Would A still be A? Would you still be you when the room is empty? If the answer trembles, fix it now. Repair the cracks before the light increases the heat. Because the harder the light, the more the flaws expand. Trust me on this better. Trust the law. Immutable principles don't bend. They break you if you try to bend them. So today, cemented in your spirit, character is the unchanging self. A unified being, integrated, one. The person people can trust at any hour, in any place. Start here, because everything you will ever build must rest on this bedrock. If the alphabet of your soul is stable, the language of your life will be clear. If the numbers of your heart are honest, the sums of your destiny will add up. Write it down. Lead with your life. And declare with me, by grace and by discipline, at 2 a.m., I am still a... Listen carefully now. Here is the hinge. Image gets you noticed. Character keeps you standing. Write it down. Image is presentation. Character is person. Image is cosmetics. Character is composition. Image is the paint. Character is the stone. Fame lifts you. Character keeps you. Tweet that to somebody right now. Do not confuse the elevator with the foundation. The elevator can take you up quickly, but without a foundation, the building cannot remain when the wind comes. Jesus said, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the... Now go with me to the beginning, because beginnings reveal order, and order reveals principle. Genesis 1:26, write it down. Then God said, let us make man in our image according to our likeness, and let them have dominion. Notice the divine sequence. Image first, dominion second, identity before authority, character before power. You can never disagree with the principle. God did not trust the earth to a face. He trusted it to a nature. He did not hand rulership to cosmetics. He entrusted it to composition. Image before dominion. Tweet that to somebody right now. Why? Because dominion is weight, and only character has bones strong enough to carry it. Power is not the problem. Power is pressure. Power is an amplifier. Power is the volume knob on your soul. When you turn it up, whatever's in the track comes through the speakers, clear or distorted. Power does not corrupt. Power reveals corruption. Pressure is not a poison. Pressure is an x-ray. It shows the fracture that was already there. That's why some people collapse at the top. They didn't break when they got famous. They were cracked at the bottom. Write it down. If your character cannot carry your gift will bury your future. God's order is protected. He says, be holy, for I am holy. 1 Peter 1:16. Holy means one, integrated, not two cells, not split, not Sunday one way and Monday another way. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Deuteronomy 6:4. The nature of God is oneness. The requirement of man is oneness. The granting of dominion assumes oneness. Integration before influence. Oneness before office. If you attempt dominion with disintegration, the very power meant to develop creation will destroy you. Dominion in fractured hands is demolition. Let me paint it for you. A bridge is designed according to a code. If the engineer chases a ribbon cutting ceremony before finishing the steel, the first truck is not the problem, the code violation is. The truck only exposes the lie. Leadership is that truck. Fame is that truck. Money is that truck. Access is that truck. And when the convoy arrives, it is too late to add steel. So here's the maxim. Never seek a platform your disciplines cannot sustain. Write it down. Tweet it. Frame it on your wall. Your platform will stress test your process. If you haven't grown down, don't go up. I have sat with prime ministers, business magnates, and pastors of stadiums. They all want strategies for growth. I tell them the same law. Growth multiplies pressure, and pressure exposes character. You cannot cheat sequence. You can accelerate visibility with marketing, but you cannot accelerate maturity with marketing. You can pay for lights, you cannot pay for weight. Weight must be forged. To whom much is given, much will be required. Luke 12:48. Set requirement tracks with gift like a shadow. Dominion raises the cost of inconsistency. This is why you must settle the question of who you are before you chase what you can do. Gift is capacity. Character is cap. Your gift may open doors your integrity cannot live behind. You can sing your way in, negotiate your way in, innovate your way in, and then disintegrate your way out. The world will praise your gift and later prosecute your character. Don't be deceived by claps. Applause is a bonus, not a compass. God's sequence is the compass. Image before dominion. You can never disagree with the principle. Listen carefully. Dominion is not a trophy, it is a trust. And trust rests on sameness. Whoever walks in integrity walks securely. Proverbs 10:9. Secure kingship, secure business, secure marriage, only where integrity walks in first. That's why the serpent in Genesis did not target power, he targeted image. Has God said, if he can corrupt the belief about who you are made in the image of God, he can distort how you rule. Dominion without the clarity of image becomes manipulation, exploitation, and abuse. So here is the diagnostic. Are you one or are you two? James writes, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. James 1-8. Double-minded equals double-lived equals unstable dominion. Unstable in the boardroom. Unstable in the bedroom. Unstable on the platform. Dominion requires stability, and stability requires oneness. Oneness requires disciplines that keep you one. Write this down. Character is self-imposed discipline. You do not rise to your hopes, you fall to your habits. Therefore, build habits that weld you into one person. How do we respect the sequence? Guard your heart before you guard your brand. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 4:23. Brand flows from heart. Strategy flows from heart. Policies flow from heart. Hearts that are integrated produce policies that are just. Hearts that are fragmented produce platforms that are fragile. Lead with your life, not with your logo. Lead with your life, not with your likes. The order is holy. Be before do, nature before function, image before dominion. Let me offer you a sober picture. Dominion is like gasoline. Poured into a well-built engine, it produces movement and progress. Poured on a fractured floor with open flames, it produces a disaster. Power is neutral. The integrity of the container decides whether it becomes transportation or conflagration. Some of you are praying for more gas while ignoring the cracks. Don't ask God to fund your explosion. Ask him to fix your container. Then ask him for more. That is wisdom. That is order. That is Genesis. So declare this with me, write it down. I will not pursue dominion at the expense of image. I will not ask for a stage my standards cannot support. I will not borrow a crown while my conscience is on layaway. I will grow down before I go up. Because the King of Kings established a pattern image before dominion, and the King never violates his own laws. He is one, he is holy, he is unchanging, and he will entrust his weight to those who mirror his oneness. Pursue integrity first, because dominion without image destroys rather than develops. Lead with your life, and the world can safely benefit from your gift. Now listen carefully. The moment the lights go up, the heat goes up. Write it down. Public light creates private heat. A microphone does not create your words, it magnifies them. A camera does not build your character, it broadcasts it. A spotlight does not seal your cracks, it expands them. Visibility is an amplifier. You can never disagree with the principle. When sound hits a microphone, it gets louder. When pressure hits a soul, it gets truer. What was whispering in private will be shouting in public. Jesus said, there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open. Luke 8:17. That's not a threat, that's a law. There is no such thing as a private life. Tweet that to somebody right now. Your secret life is your true life. Your public life is a report. What you have said in the dark will be heard in the daylight. Luke 12:3. That message you think is buried in the inbox, seeds sprout. That expense no one sees, books balance. That DM you thought was a conversation, screens remember. Light is relentless. The city on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. If you ask God for visibility, you're asking God for exposure. Make sure you are asking for exposure of something you're proud of. Lead with your life, not with your lips, not with your logo. Your lifestyle is your loudest leadership. Trust is currency. Write it down. You do not buy trust. You earn it by deposits of sameness. Consistency compounds. Inconsistency collapses. Every kept promise adds interest. Every broken boundary charges a fee. One breach is bankruptcy. Ecclesiastes 10:1 says, dead flies make the perfumer's ointment give off a stench. One fly, whole bottle ruin. One breach, credibility stinks. It can take years to compound trust and 5 seconds to default. That is why character must be self-imposed discipline. You cannot outsource it to PR. You cannot refinance a rotten life with a new brand. Principles are laws. Write that down. Gravity is not emotional. It is inevitable. If you jump off a building, you will discover law, not suggestion. Integrity is the same. Violate gravity, you fall immediately. Violate integrity, you will eventually fall. Different speeds, same law. Do not be deceived. If the ground delays its breathing, the law is patient but punctual. Be sure your sin will find you out. Numbers 32-23. The law is on schedule even when your calendar looks clear. So what do you do under light? You fortify the secret. If the stage gets higher, dig deeper. If the audience grows, the altar must get longer. Private prayer is your pressure valve. Private study is your stabilizer. Private fasting is your furnace. Private accountability is your guardrail. Write it down. Whatever you neglect in private will sue you in public, and it wins every time. Let me test you. Who are you in a hotel at midnight with a key card in your pocket and nobody to text? Who are you with a corporate card and no receipt required? Who are you with an inbox at 1 a.m. and a compliment you crave? The more seen you are, the more your unseen life decides your survival. Leaders do not live by opportunities, they live by convictions. Lock yourself in the prison of your standards. That is freedom. When offers come, your answer is already written. When flattery comes, your compass does not move. Applause is a bonus, not a compass. Whoever walks in integrity walks securely. Proverbs 10:9. Security is not the absence of scrutiny. It is the presence of sameness. Lead with your life. Keep your words few and your standards fierce. Do nothing in the dark that you would not live stream to your mother and your maker. If it cannot survive light, it cannot remain in your life. That is how you live loudly without fear, by being the same person when the camera is off and when it is on. That consistency becomes your shield when the lights burn and the microphones boom. Remember this law and write it in your spirit. Visibility multiplies pressure, but character multiplies strength. And if you guard your unseen life, your seen life will not need guards. Now that you understand the light multiplies heat, let me expose the first fire that singes many great men and women. Applause addiction. Write it down. Applause is a bonus, not a compass. You can never disagree with the principle. The trap is subtle, performing for likes, editing truth to fit trends, selling convictions for claps. You start measuring your worth by hearts and your wisdom by views. You become a weather vane on top of your own life, spinning with every gust of opinion. Hear the warning of Jesus. Woe to you when all men speak well of you. Luke 6:26. Why? Because when everybody loves you, it is usually because you are saying nothing costly. Truth carries a price tag. Lies go on sale. What is applause addiction? It is when praise becomes your drug and popularity your prescription. You begin to dose your conscience with compliments, and the withdrawals terrify you. You check comments more than your conscience. You answer metrics and ignore morals. You count hands raised but not standards kept. You chase virality and lose veracity. Write this down. If you let compliments pay your rent, they will soon own your house. The fear of man lays a snare. Proverbs 29-25. Applause is a snare lined with velvet. It feels soft while it tightens. Let me diagnose you honestly. Are you for sale? State your price. What number of followers would make you change your message? What sponsor would make you mute your convictions? Which donor's check would adjust your ethics? What cultural storm would tempt you to edit scripture for seats? Galatians 1:10 interrogates us. Am I now seeking the approval of man or of God? If I was still trying to please man, I would not be a servant of Christ. Tweet that to somebody right now. Servants have a singular master. Audience of one. Write it down. Here's a principle you cannot break without breaking yourself. Convictions must precede compliments. Principle before popularity. Truth before trend. Sound doctrine before itching ears. Paul warned us the time will come when people will not endure sound doctrine. They will accumulate for themselves teachers to suit their own passions. 2 Timothy 4:3. If you let the crowd curate your convictions, you become a mirror with no face. Jesus said, beware of practicing your righteousness before other people in order to be seen by them, for then you have no reward from your Father in heaven. Matthew 6:1. If likes are your reward, heaven withholds its applause. Choose your rewarder. You can never disagree with the principle. Consider the volatility of the masses. Sunday they shouted Hosanna, and by Friday they cried, crucify him. The crowd is weather. Principles are climate. Build on climate, not on weather. Everyone who hears these words of mine and does them is like a man who built his house on the rock. Matthew 7:24. Rock is principle. Sand is public opinion. The storm is not your enemy. The sand is. Write it down. The wind cannot collapse you if you refuse to put your foundation on applause. So what is the counter principle? Lead with your life, obey over impress. Whatever you do, do it heartily as unto the Lord and not to men. Colossians 3:23. Audience of one, make that your compass. Your metrics must submit to your morals. Your values must hire your behavior and fire your excuses. Write it down. When values do the hiring, flattery doesn't get the job. When values do the firing, excuses pack their bags. Now let me give you practices, because character is self-imposed discipline. First, fast from praise. Yes, I said fast. For the next 21 days, turn off notifications, stop reading your own comments, let your team handle public feedback, and starve the need for approval. If your soul twitches, that's proof it was hooked. Detox it. Second, measure obedience over reach. Build an obedience dashboard. Ask daily, did I tell the truth without trimming? Did I keep my standards under pressure? Did I do what God told me today, even if it costs? If yes, that's a win, even if the post underperformed. Third, rehearse your non-negotiables every morning. Put them on your mirror and your lock screen. I do not lie. I do not flatter for favor. I do not bend scripture to suit sentiment. I do not sell access to my integrity. I do not accept praise as direction. Recite them. Bind them to your heart. You fall to your habits, not rise to your hopes. Fourth, submit your message to principle before you submit it to a platform. Ask, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it aligned with my values? If it fails the value test, it does not deserve a microphone. Fifth, appoint a praise-proof friend. Give someone the authority to confront you when your tone starts pandering someone who loves you enough to unplug your spotlight. Ecclesiastes 7:5 says, it is better to be rebuked by the wise than to be praised by fools. Better a hard word from a friend than soft change from fans. Let me test you again. If the algorithm changed tomorrow and your engagement dropped by 90%, would you change your message or change your mood? If a sponsor threatened to leave unless you lightened up, would you lighten your truth or lighten your expenses? If your board said, we need more excitement, would you excite the crowd or excite heaven with obedience? John 2:24 says of Jesus, he did not entrust himself to them, for he knew what was in man. He delighted in the Father's voice at the Jordan, not in the crowd's voice in Jerusalem. Be like him. Entrust yourself upward, not outward. I have counseled leaders who rode a wave of praise into a reef of compromise. The crash was not sudden. It was seeded the day they let the claps decide their content. Write this law on your heart. Compliments are confirmations, not commands. Feedback is information, not instruction. The word is instruction. Principles are laws, they never change. You can ignore them, but you cannot disagree with them without paying. So declare this with me right now. Lead with your life. I renounce applause addiction. I will serve an audience of one. I will measure obedience over reach, faithfulness over fame, substance over shine. My values will hire my behavior and fire my excuses. My convictions will come first. Compliments are optional. And when the lights get hot and the microphones get loud, I will remember applause is a bonus, not a compass. Now to the second trap that destroys many before the first sermon is archive, or the first product ships, platform before process. Write it down. Virality outpaces virtue. Exposure exceeds preparation. Shortcuts replace chiseling. You can never disagree with the principle. The temptation is real. One post pops, one invitation arrives, one investor nods, and suddenly you want to stand in rooms your soul is not rehearsed to breathe in. Do not confuse a moment of visibility with a mandate of maturity. A flash is not a forge. A trend is not a testimony. Tweet that to somebody right now. Listen carefully. Process builds the structure that a platform will stress test. The stage is not a carpet. It is a scale. When you step on it, it weighs you, not your image. That is why trees that dance in hurricanes are the ones that went down before they went up. Roots before fruits. Depth before height. Hidden before heralded. Psalm 1 says, the righteous is like a tree planted by streams of water that yields its fruit in season, and its leaf does not wither. In season, not all year, not all at once. Fruit follows rooting. Write it down. Grow down before you go up. God understands sequence. He authored it. He hides you before he shows you. Isaiah 49:2 says, he made me a polished arrow. He concealed me in his quiver. Concealed, then commissioned. Even Jesus, our model, did not launch at 12 when he astonished teachers. Luke 2:52, Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. Increase is process. Datur is process. Favor is process. And before the public ministry, there was a wilderness 40 days of pressure testing. No miracles, no crowd, just process. You can never disagree with the principle. The trap is seductive because platforms are loud and processes are lonely. The platform offers affirmation. The process offers anonymity. The platform gives you applause. The process gives you alignment. The platform photographs you. The process forms you. Which do you want? I have counseled CEOs, pastors, artists who rushed their reveal and paid with their souls. The stage did not break them. It revealed where the steel was missing. Write this maxim. Never accept a stage your secret life cannot survive. Put that on your mirror. Tweet that right now. There's no such thing as a private life. If your private cannot breathe the altitude of your public, the climb will crush you. Consider David, anointed in a backfield, then sent back to sheep, not to a throne, back to process. On the way to Goliath, he references his resume, lion and bear. Private victories, then public victory. 1 Samuel 17 is a clinic in process before platform. Joseph dreamed of rulership as a teenager. Then he met pits and prisons. Prison was his quiver. Process was his polish. Until what he had said came to pass, the word of the Lord tested him. Psalm 105-19. Tested, not suggested, tested. Galatians 4:1-2 says, an heir is under guardians and stewards until the time set by the Father. Your time is a function of your process. If you demand the platform early, you will arrive as a volunteer when you were meant to arrive as a vessel. So what is the counter principle? Process before promotion. Humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. 1 Peter 5-6, in due time, not in your time. Write it down. Premature exposure is sabotage. A cake taken out of the oven too soon collapses in the middle. The heat is not the enemy, the haste is. Do not ask God to plate what he is still baking. How do we honor process? Character is self-imposed discipline. Therefore, impose disciplines that grow your roots. Submit to mentors, real ones, not fans with advice. Give them veto power. If your mentor cannot say not yet, they are not a mentor, they are a mirror. Proverbs 11:14 says, in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. Safety from your own speed. Embrace obscurity as training, not punishment. If you cannot steward a room of 12 with excellence, you are not ready for 12,000. The same word that can feed 12 can feed 12 million if it was forged in truth. Write it down. Rehearsal in small rooms is your laboratory for large rooms. Set skill disciplines and soul disciplines. Skill, schedule, practice like a surgeon. If you are a communicator, write daily, read deeply, rehearse privately, study broadly. If you are an entrepreneur, refine spreadsheets, simulate scenarios, understand your numbers in the dark before investors act in the light. If you are an artist, do scales when no one is clapping. Soul God, prayer, scripture, fasting, confession, Sabbath, non-negotiable. Your gift needs muscle. Your soul needs marrow. James 1:4 says, let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. Patience works while you wait. Let it. Build a process gate for promotions. Before accepting any platform, run it through questions your values hired to protect you. Does my private purity match this public pressure? Have my mentor signed off? Are my daily standards consistent under current load? Do I have guardrails, financial transparency, relational boundaries, travel protocols in place? If no appears anywhere, the answer is not yet, not no forever, no until the process catches up. Better a delayed yes than an advanced disaster. Let me test you. If the invitation tomorrow doubled your audience, what would break first? Your calendar, your conscience, or your crew? If a publisher said, we want the book in 8 weeks, would you cut corners on research or cut meetings to study? If a network demanded less conviction, more click, would you trade message for moment? Your answers reveal your process. Do not be ashamed if the truth exposes gaps. Be grateful. Gaps identified in secret can be closed. Gaps discovered on stage become headlines. Finally, declare this law over your life. Lead with your life. I choose process over platform. I will grow down before I go up. I will stay hidden until he reveals me. I will submit to mentors, practice my craft in the dark, and forge my soul in discipline. I will never accept a stage my secret life cannot survive, because platforms are tests, and I intend to pass by principle, by patience, by process. Now we must address the third trap that eats giants for breakfast, the privacy delusion. Write it down. Compartments are lies with locks on them. You think private DMs, hidden habits, burner accounts, late night tabs, and that's just my personal side, will protect you. They don't protect you, they prepare to prosecute you. There is no such thing as a private life. Tweet that to somebody right now. Leadership and secrecy are incompatible. What you cultivate in the closet is scheduling a press conference. Jesus said nothing is concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. Luke 12:2. Hebrews 4:13 adds, nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare. You can ignore it, but you can never disagree with the principle. The delusion says I can be one person on stage and another in my browser, one tone in the pulpit and another in the group chat, one ethic with my donors and another with my expenses. That is disintegration. Remember, holy means one, integrated. Same at noon as at 2 a.m. Same in Lagos, London, and Los Angeles. The Shema declares, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Deuteronomy 6:4. Write it down. The standard of God is oneness, and the survival of leaders is oneness. Double lies produce unstable power. James 1:8. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. All, not some, all. Let me define exposure for you. Exposure is not when the scandal hits the news. Exposure is when you decide to live divided. The headline is just a harvest. Whoever conceals his transgressions will not prosper, but he who confesses and forsakes them will obtain mercy. Proverbs 28:13. Concealment is anti-prosperity. Confession is pro-mercy. Write that down. Integration neutralizes exposure. Radical transparency defeats the privacy delusion. If there is nothing to hide, there is nothing to fear. If you are one, the light is your friend. Ephesians 5:13. Everything exposed by the light becomes visible, and everything that is illuminated becomes a light. When you walk in the light, even your past becomes a lesson rather than a leverage point for blackmail. Here is the golden rule of transparency. Never forget it. Never do anything you don't want anyone to find out about. Tweet that right now. Put it on your phone case. Put it on your bathroom mirror. Put it in your spirit. If it cannot survive oxygen, it cannot live in you. Live loudly. Lead with your life. Honesty is my only policy. Write it down. Let me test you, because character is self-imposed discipline. If someone screenshotted your last 30 days of messages and projected them behind you during your keynote, would you keep speaking or would you fake a power outage? If your spouse or mentor could open your browser history right now, would you need 3 minutes or a time machine? If the finance team printed your reimbursements with receipts, would you frame it or file for leave? If your team's group chat about you was read on a podcast, would your brand shrink or would your stature grow? The more visible you are, the more your unseen life chooses your obituary. You can ignore it, but you cannot escape it. So what is the counter principle? Integration. Be one person everywhere. What you say, you do. What you do, you repeat. What you repeat, you become. Walk in the light as he's in the light. 1 John 1-7. Write it down. Transparency is not marketing, it is morality. We do not publish to perform, we reveal to remain. Your future doesn't need a spin doctor, it needs a spine. Now, practices, because principles become protection when they are engineered into systems. First, pre-clear boundaries with the people who love you and the people who depend on you. With your spouse, family, and inner circle, codify rules, travel protocols, room access, curfews on communication, who rides where, who checks in when. I do not travel alone on extended trips. I do not meet behind closed doors in vulnerable contexts. I do not keep secret calendars, not because I am weak, because I am wise. Fleeing is a strategy. Joseph didn't negotiate. He ran. Genesis 39-12. Principle, distance is deliverance. Write that down. Second, establish a no delete policy. If it needs deleting, it didn't need doing. Emails archive automatically and are searchable by your accountability partner. Messages are mirrored to a secure log your team can audit. Photos are synced to a shared vault labeled light. Browser history is permanently on and reviewed. Your notes from meetings go into shared folders, not secret notebooks. If that makes you nervous, that's your soul telling you where the cracks are. Fix the cracks. Don't fight the light. Third, accountability, visibility. Real accountability is not a coffee with a friend who is impressed by you. Appoint 2 or 3 truth tellers who have keys to your life, spouse or family, a senior mentor, and a peer with courage. Give them dashboards, not summaries. Calendars, expenses, communications, access with agreed limits, travel itineraries, and performance metrics. Schedule non-negotiable confession sessions weekly, not as needed. If it is optional, your flesh will vote no. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 says 2 are better than 1. If one falls, the other can help him up. Don't fall alone. Don't travel alone. Don't decide alone. Fourth, pre-commit your communication ethics with your team. Clarify that no DM remains private property. Your assistant can see it. Your spouse can see it. Your mentor can see it. You are not entitled to secrecy. You are entrusted with stewardship. Set quiet hours, no private messaging after 10 p.m. unless mission critical and logged. Move sensitive conversations to daylight and witnesses. If the conversation must hide, the conversation must die. Write it down. Fifth, financial transparency as a hedge against temptation. Every purchase on a company card requires 2 signatures and public receipts in a shared ledger. Personal giving and receiving are tracked with integrity. No love gifts in envelopes to secret accounts. Cash creates shadows. Use traceable channels. Provide things honest in the sight of all men. Romans 12:17. If it cannot be defended in an audit, it cannot be done by a leader. 6, social boundaries that respect optics and protect souls. Group meals, not intimate dinners that could be misconstrued. Mentoring in classrooms, not dim corners. Celebrate in community, not in secrecy. Perception matters because trust is built on sameness and clarity. Avoid every appearance of evil. 1 Thessalonians 5:22. Not paranoia, prudence. Let me give you one more law. Secrets are seeds. What you bury today will grow roots and push through concrete tomorrow. Seeds do not respect your schedule. Therefore, sow light, plant confession, water accountability, reap security. Whoever walks in integrity walks securely. Proverbs 10:9. Security is not the absence of cameras. It is the absence of compromise. Declare this with me. Lead with your life. I renounce the privacy delusion. I will be one person everywhere. I will never do anything I do not want anyone to find out about. I will pre-clear boundaries with my family and my team. I will live a no-delete life. I will install visibility where my flesh wants secrecy. I will walk in the light as he is in the light, because integration neutralizes exposure and radical transparency defeats the delusion. Write it down, tweet it, live it. And when the lights get hotter, you will not sweat, because what you are in private will be exactly what you are in public. Now we come to the most dangerous distortion under bright lights: prosperity. Write this down. 3 things will test your character every time: power, money, and access to sex. You can never disagree with the principle. These are not new temptations. They are ancient exams. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life comes not from the Father. 1 John 2:16. The devil has no new curriculum. He just changes the packaging. Visibility multiplies the opportunities. Prosperity amplifies the offers. Power, money, sex, they are not evil. They are exams. Power reveals you. Money magnifies you. Sex exposes you. Write it down. Let me stress test your soul, because character is self-imposed discipline. If someone said, I will erase your debt tomorrow, wipe your mortgage, clear your student loans, but you must bend your standard once, would you trade? State your price. If a client said, keep this contract, but soften that policy, ignore that line, doctor that invoice, would you stay employed or stay integrous? If a beautiful temptation whispered, just one night, no one will know, I can make it worth your while, would you sell what you cannot get back? These are not hypotheticals, they are scheduled. The exam always comes after promotion. Jesus was baptized in light and immediately tested in the wilderness. Matthew 4. Write it down. Celebration is followed by examination. So what is the counter principle? Pre-decisions and guardrails. Decide before the offer arrives. Daniel 1-8, Daniel purpose in his heart that he would not defile himself. Purpose first, pressure second. Job 31-1, I made a covenant with my eyes. Covenant first, contact second. Joseph ran before reasoning. Genesis 39-12, run first, explain later. You can ignore this, but you cannot disagree with it without paying. Pre-decisions turn temptations into confirmations. The offer doesn't negotiate with you, it exposes you. Tweet that to somebody right now. Let's take them one by one. Power, the pride of life. Power does not corrupt. Power reveals corruption. If you were arrogant when unknown, you will be a tyrant when famous. Jesus said, you know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, not so with you. Whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. Matthew 20:25-26. Write it down. Authority is stewardship, not superiority. Therefore, build guardrails that make you a servant even when you are the senior. Share authority. Don't hoard it. Create a decision matrix that limits unilateral power. No single signature decisions above a set amount. Publish an authority map so your team knows who can say yes and who must say we. Establish term limits for key roles and rotate the microphone. If your voice is the only voice, your fall is the only plan. Institute conflict of interest, disclosures are standard. Recuse yourself where your interest is entangled. Submit to plurality. Acts 14:23 shows elders, not emperors. Write it down. If your authority is not accountable, it is not legitimate. Money, the lust of the eyes. You cannot serve God and money. Matthew 6:24. Money is a wonderful servant and a wicked master. The love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. 1 Timothy 6:10. And debt is a leash. The borrower is servant to the lender. Proverbs 22:7. So install financial fences. Live by a written budget, zero base, every dollar assigned before it arrives. Automate generosity, first fruits to God, Proverbs 3-9. Set percentage to savings, set percentage to investment, and live on the rest. Separate accounts. Personal is personal. Organizational is organizational. Never mingle. Two-signature policy on all disbursements. Receipts required within 48 hours. Reconciliations monthly by someone who doesn't report to you. Annual third-party audits with results shared to your board and your core team. Compensation set by an independent committee with external comparables and documented rationale. You do not decide your own pay. Per diems documented. No cash advances without receipts. No off-book love gifts. No anonymous envelopes. Use traceable channels. Install spending limits on cards. If the purchase can't wait for approval, it can wait to be forgotten. Write it down. If it cannot survive an audit, it cannot survive my conscience. Sex, the lust of the flesh. Flee sexual immorality, 1 Corinthians 6:18. It does not say negotiate, it says flee. Pre-decide your lanes. Make a covenant with your eyes. No pornography, no suggestive followers, no flirtation diet. Unfollow, block, and burn bridges that bait your blood. Establish travel rules. Never travel alone when you can travel with team. Never share rides late at night with vulnerable dynamics. Hotel floors with team nearby. Doors open and blinds raised in meeting rooms. Meetings with the opposite sex in glass rooms or public spaces. Digital guardrails. Spouse or accountability partner has full access to all devices. Monitoring software where appropriate. No late night private messaging. Move sensitive dialogues to daylight and to group threads. Social boundaries. Group dinners, not candlelit counsel. If a conversation must hide, the conversation must die. Hebrews 13:4, marriage should be honored by all, and the marriage bed kept pure. Honor your covenant out loud. Wear your ring like a siren. Mention your spouse like a shield. Write it down. Proximity is policy. Distance is deliverance. Now, engrave these maxims on your soul. Honesty is my only policy. I am not for sale. My name has no price tag. My future is too expensive to rent to temptation. If you let a moment lease your standards, it will evict your destiny. Tweet that. Let me give you a law you can never disagree with. The pressure you plan for will not surprise you. Pre-decisions make temptation boring. When the offer comes, your answer was hired by your values yesterday. Let me test you again. If an investor said, we will double your funding if you quietly adjust that moral clause, what would your spreadsheet say to your soul? If a donor threatened, change your message, or we change our support, would you keep the donor or keep your doctrine? If someone offered to pay off your mortgage with one compromised night, would you collect a key or collect yourself and run? If your calendar put you alone with charisma and chemistry in a city far from home, would your guardrails lock you in before your feelings let you out? Answer now. Decide now. Write it down. Decide at 10 a.m. what you will do at 2 a.m. Finally, install a review rhythm. Quarterly conscience audits power, money, sex graded by people who love you but do not fear you. Publish your standards to your team so they can hold you to them. Memorize Proverbs 25:28. A man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls. Build your walls with principles, not with promises. And hear Paul's hope. God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. He will also provide a way out. 1 Corinthians 10:13. The way out is often the way you built in last month. Guardrails, budgets, shared authority, doors open, phones mirrored. Declare with me, lead with your life. I pre-decide my standards. I share authority. I budget my money. I flee temptation. Honesty is my only policy. I am not for sale. My future is too expensive to rent to temptation. Power will not intoxicate me. Money will not manipulate me. Sex will not negotiate me. I will walk in the light within my lanes, under my guardrails, so when prosperity arrives, it will serve my purpose, not sabotage my soul. Write it down, tweet it, live it. You can never disagree with the principle. Now we build a system. Character isn't an accident. It is engineered. Write this down. Your outside follows your inside. You can never disagree with the principle. There is a cascade that governs every life and every organization. Philosophy produces values. Values produce morals. Morals inform ethics. Ethics shape character. Character becomes lifestyle. Say it again slowly. Philosophy, values, morals, ethics, character, lifestyle. What you believe becomes what you value. What you value becomes what you permit. What you permit becomes what you practice. What you practice becomes who you are. Consistently at 2 a.m. A is still A at 2 a.m. Tweet that to somebody right now. Let me define them so you cannot be confused. What is philosophy? It is your belief system about reality, God, man, purpose, truth. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. What are values? Values are the things you value, non-negotiables you would pay a price to protect. What are morals? Morals are your internal rules based on your values, your always and never. What are ethics? Ethics are those morals enforced in public, how you operate under scrutiny and structure. What is character? Character is integrity, your unchanging oneness, and lifestyle. Lifestyle is the visible pattern of your life. Write it down. If you don't like your lifestyle, don't edit your Instagram, examine your philosophy. Vision without values is destiny without discipline. Put that on your wall. Proverbs 29:18 says, where there is no vision, the people cast off restraint. Vision requires values to produce restraint. Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision and make it plain. I add, write the values and make them measurable. So craft a values constitution for your life and for your organization. Clear, memorable, measurable. Not 12 paragraphs, 12 words. Not poetry policy. For each value, attach definitions and behaviors. Honesty, no lies, no spin, no hidden fees. Stewardship, every dollar tracked, every asset honored. Purity, no private messages after 10 p.m. Doors open, glass rooms. Accountability, plural. Decision making, 2 signatures. Published audits. If it's not measurable, it's not enforceable. You can never disagree with the principle. Now operationalize it. Hire, fire, reward, and correct by values, not vibes or virality. If your culture hires for charisma and fires for character, you train failure. Reverse it. Hire for values, alignment first. Skills can be developed. Fire for values, violations, even if the violator is a rainmaker. If you keep a star who breaks your standards, your constitution is confetti. Reward the right, celebrate behavior that incarnates values. Public honor teaches your culture what heaven applauds. Correct with clarity when the line is crossed. Name the value, name the breach, name the consequence, and name the path to restoration. Matthew 5:37 says, let your yes be yes and your no, no. Consistency builds trust. Ambiguity breeds anarchy. Build systems that force alignment. Calendars reveal values. If you say family first, but your calendar never contains them, your values are slogans. Budgets reveal beliefs. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Matthew 6:21. Job descriptions must include value outcomes. Performance reviews must score behaviors, not just metrics. Meetings begin with a value spotlight. One story this week where the value cost us something and we still chose it. Onboarding is catechism. Teach the why, then the what. Deuteronomy 6:6-9 says, write the commands on your heart. Talk about them at home. Tie them. Write them on door frames. Put your values on walls, in wallets, in workflows. Integration requires saturation. Write it down. Make ethics legal, not optional. Policies are love letters to your future. Document conflict of interest rules, travel protocols, financial controls, communication standards. Publish them, train them, test them, audit them. Then do Matthew 7:24, build on rock. Whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, the rain descended, the floods came, the winds blew, and it did not fall. The winds are coming. Visibility guarantees a storm. Systems are the house. Values are the foundation. Ethics are the beams. Audits are the inspections. Don't dedicate what you refuse to discipline. Let me test you. If I shadowed your week, would I read your values in your schedule? If I open your budget, would I hear your philosophy speaking? If I asked your interns, could they quote your constitution? If I observed a correction, would I see ethics applied or popularity protected? Culture is what you correct and what you celebrate. Write it down. What you tolerate, you teach. Finally, declare this law, lead with your life. My philosophy governs my values. My values govern my morals. My morals govern my ethics. My ethics construct my character. My character becomes my lifestyle. I will write my values. I will measure them. I will hire, fire, reward, and correct by them. Because sustained character is not a mood, it is a system. And when the lights turn up, my system will keep me the same. At noon and at 2 a.m., A is still A. You can never disagree with the principle. History is a mirror and a mentor. Write it down. Let history mentor you so headlines don't humble you. We have built principles. Now we must see pictures. Why? Because power reveals what preparation or negligence has been building all along. Say it with me. Power doesn't change you. Power exposes you. Visibility is an X-ray. Prosperity is a magnifier. The question is not will you be seen. The question is what will be seen when you are. You can ignore this, but you can never disagree with the principle. Consider Joseph, young, gifted, far from home, favored and falsely accused, alone in a house with opportunity breathing down his neck. The exam was private. The consequences were public. Potiphar's wife said, come to bed. Joseph said, how then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? Genesis 39:9. He did not host a debate. He ran an evacuation plan. She caught him by his garment, and he left his garment in her hand and fled. Genesis 39:12. Write it down. When your garment is at stake, leave your garment and keep your soul. He chose integrity over image. He chose prison over pleasure. And heaven recorded a verdict, but the Lord was with Joseph. Genesis 39:21. Joseph passed the sex test privately, and in due time, he carried power publicly. See, I have set you over all the land of Egypt. Genesis 41:41. Image before dominion, character before crown. The psalmist adds a line I love. They hurt his feet with fetters. His soul was laid in iron until the time that his word came. Psalm 105:18-19. The prison put iron in his soul. Write it down. Process install steel where platform will soon hang weight. Decide at 10 a.m. what you will do at 2 a.m. and God will trust you at 2 p.m. with nations. Now contrast Samson, also chosen, also anointed, also public. But giftedness is not godliness. Born under vow, intoxicated by opportunities. He flirted with fire and called it romance. Timnah, Gaza, Delilah, born. The pattern was not a surprise. It was a syllabus he refused to study. He broke the boundaries, toyed with truth, and traded secrets for strokes. If you weave the 7 locks of my head, that was not a joke. That was a leak. Character is self-imposed discipline. Samson imposed nothing on himself, so circumstances imposed everything on him. And here is the most tragic sentence in leadership literature. He did not know that the Lord had left him. Judges 16:20. He lost his sight, then his strength, then his stewardship. The man once feared became entertainment for his enemies, grinding in a prison where his gift no longer had governance. Write it down. If you play with your vow, you will one day perform for your enemies. Samson had great gift and weak character. The platform was heavy and the pillars fell. God in mercy gave him one final surge, but his epitaph reads like a warning label, more in his death than in his life. That is not success, that is salvage. Tweet that to somebody right now. Now lift your eyes to modern exemplars of image before dominion. Nelson Mandela sat in a cell longer than some careers last. When I had the privilege to greet him after his release, I asked, sir, what kept you the same from prison to presidency? He smiled, the smile of a man who already decided. And he said, I decided in prison who I would be in power. Write it down. Decide your character where there is no applause, so you won't sell it where there is. He refused bitterness, chose reconciliation, served a single term when he could have extended his tenure. Power revealed integrity, not inconsistency. Desmond Tutu built a theology of forgiveness before he sat on a commission of reconciliation. He preached mercy in the pulpit and then legislated mercy in policy. Same man, same values, same voice. That is holiness, oneness. Psalm 15 says, the righteous man swears to his own hurt and does not change. They were the same at noon and at 2 a.m. A is still A. Leaders like that make power safe for nations. Write this down. Your gift introduces you. Your character sustains you. Your process explains you. Joseph's process produced steel. Samson's neglect produced cracks. Mandela's convictions traveled from cell to cabinet unchanged. Tutu's ethics walked from altar to assembly without costume changes. Power revealed what preparation had been building or what negligence had been hiding. Now, a word for our age. Contemporary platforms are global elevators. Algorithms will take you up before architecture holds you up. Persona is cheap. Personhood is costly. When the persona outruns the person, collapse is scheduled. I don't need to name names. Principles don't require gossip. We all have seen it. Follower counts climb. Guardrails come down. DMs go dark. Receipts go missing. Boundaries become brand management, not moral management. The heart whispers, I'm different. Gravity does not negotiate. Visibility magnifies secrets until they become documentaries. Write it down. Fame is not fame if your family can't stand your shadow. Leaders, I beg you, lead with your life. There is no such thing as a private life. What you cultivate in the closet is preparing a press conference. If it can't survive oxygen, it cannot live in you. So choose your model now. Will you be Joseph, pre-decided, process forged, passing a private exam, and then governing with clean hands and a steel soul? Or will you be Samson, public strength, private softness, telling secrets of strokes until the lights go out? Will you be a Mandela, consistent convictions from prison to presidency? Will you be a Tutu ethics that sing the same note in liturgy and in law? Or will you be a headline talent without trust, platform without process, image without integrity? Write it down. What you refuse to learn from mentors, you will pay to learn from mistakes. Let me test you, because tests are coming. If power arrived tomorrow, would it find an iron soul or a soft standard? If money multiplied next quarter, would your budget hold or would your appetite lead? If flattery pressed you this evening, would your predecisions answer or would your feelings negotiate? The time to choose is before the chariot arrives. Daniel purposed in his heart before the king's table. Joseph covenanted with his God before Potiphar's wife caught his coat. Mandela forged patience before a ballot ever carried his name. Tutu prepared forgiveness before affidavits filled a room. Preparation is mercy. Negligence is pride. You can never disagree with the principle. Declare it with me. Lead with your life. I will let history mentor me so headlines will not humble me. I choose Joseph's flight over Samson's flirtation. I choose Mandela's discipline over opportunism. I choose Tutu's integrity over impression. Honesty is my only policy. I am not for sale. I will be the same at noon and at 2 a.m. A is still A. And when power comes, it will reveal a soul prepared by principles, not seduced by platforms. Write it down, tweet it, live it, because power will not keep you, character will. Now we turn convictions into craft tools for people in the light. Write it down. Standards, boundaries, and pruning convert convictions into a livable lifestyle under bright lights. You can never disagree with the principle. Gifts may open doors, image may attract crowds, but habits keep you holy at 2 a.m. Character is self-imposed discipline. Ever say discipline? Discipline is the bridge between yes and always, between vow and lifestyle. The righteous man swears to his own hurt and does not change. Psalm 15:4. So we build a rule of life that keeps you the same in every room. Begin every day with vows, not vibes. Vows anchor you when feelings drift. I rise and I declare honesty is my only policy. I do not lie, no spin, no shade, no silence where truth is required. Ephesians 4:25. I keep my word. If I say it, I calendar it. If I promise it, I perform it. Let your yes be yes and your no, no. Matthew 5:37. I repay my debts, money, favors, and apologies. The wicked borrows and does not pay back. Psalm 37:21. I flee what weakens me, what invites my appetites to lead me. Flee youthful lust. 2 Timothy 2:22. I am faithful in little, because little is the x-ray of much. Luke 16:10. Put those on your mirror, put them in your phone, teach them to your team and your children. Say them before sunrise so you don't negotiate them at sunset. Tweet that to somebody right now. Now, boundaries. The Sabbath is not a suggestion, it is a strategy. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Exodus 20:8. Holy means one integrated. A weekly Sabbath braids your life into oneness again. Choose a day. Guard it with a sword. No performance meetings, no brand management, no metrics. Worship God, rest your body, laugh at your family, walk in the wind, feed your soul. Leaders burn because they confuse exhaust with excellence. Rest is not a reward for finishing, it is fuel for beginning. Write it down. The rested soul is harder to seduce. Time bound your technology. Ephesians 5:15-16 says, walk circumspectly, redeeming the time. Appoint hours for social media, say 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And keep your bed a sanctuary, not a scroll station. No late night DMs. Nothing good for your soul starts in the inbox after 10 p.m. Turn off push notifications that push you into pits. Decide that email serves you, not rules you 2 windows a day, then close the gate. The device is a door. Unguarded doors invite thieves. Set a guard, O Lord, over my mouth. Keep watch over the door of my lips. Psalm 141:3. In our day, that prayer includes your thumbs. Establish proximity policies that make purity practical. No lone late night meetings that test your vows. No pastoral counseling in dark corners. Use glass rooms or public tables. Keep your office door ajar when wisdom says so. When travel is necessary, bring team, not chemistry. If you must meet cross-gender, set daylight hours, visible spaces, and short durations. If it must hide, it must die. Joseph ran. He did not reason. Genesis 39:12. Write it down. Distance is deliverance. Money must remain a servant, guarded with structure. 2 signatures on all disbursements above, an agreed amount, yours and someone who does not report to you. No reimbursements without receipts within 48 hours. Monthly reconciliations by a person paid to say no. Annual third-party audits, and the results are shared with your board and your core team. First fruits to God. Honor the Lord with your wealth and with the first fruits of all your produce. Proverbs 3-9. Automatic generosity trains your soul to master money, not marry it. Keep clean books. Personal is personal. Organizational is organizational. If it cannot survive an audit, it cannot survive your conscience. You can never disagree with the principle. Now pruning, Hebrews 12:1 says, lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares. We preach about sin, we tolerate weights. Some friendships are weights. Some chats are open doors to weakness. Some feeds are gossip pipelines, baptizing your mind in jealousy and rage. Prune them. Ask the hard question. Who am I with that I should not be with? What am I following that is not following Christ? Proverbs 13:20. Whoever walks with the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. Unfollow, mute, block, delete. If you must sneak to consume it, it is consuming you. Leaders, I beg you, lead with your life. What you cultivate in secret will introduce itself in public. Social rules for visible people. Pause before you post. Practice a 2-4-hour rule on heat. If anger typed it, wisdom must read it tomorrow. 4 filters. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it loving? Is it aligned with our values? If a post wins followers but violates principles, delete it. Never monetize outrage. Refuse subtweets. Correction without conversation is cowardice. Principle over platform. Repeat that. Appoint an accountability reviewer for hot content. No clarifying statement should go public without another set of eyes. No secret accounts. There is no such thing as a private life. Tweet that to somebody right now. Finally, anchor habits in rhythm. Morning, read a proverb, recite your vows, visualize your guardrails, pray Psalm 19:14. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable. Midday, 2-minute conscience check. Am I still aligned? Evening, where did I win? Where did I wobble? Whom do I need to call, repay, or correct tomorrow? Weekly, Sabbath, and a 60-minute audit with your spouse or your accountability partner, power, money, sex. Monthly, a pruning hour, unfollow, unsubscribe, unfriend, unclutter. Quarterly, generosity review and budget reset. Annually, a retreat to rewrite vows and increase fences where pressure has increased. I discipline my body and keep it under control. 1 Corinthians 9:27. Consistency is the quiet miracle. Everybody say discipline. Declare with me, lead with your life. I live by vows. I move within boundaries. I prune without apology. I keep a Sabbath for my soul. I set time windows for my screens. I host no lone late night meetings that test my vows. I practice financial integrity, dual approvals, generous giving, clean books. I remove what can destroy my character, even if it is a friend or a feed. I pause before I post. Principle over platform. Accountability over adrenaline. Honesty is my only policy. I am not for sale. A is still A at 2 a.m. Write it down, tweet it, live it, because the lights are getting brighter and these standards will make sure your soul is not getting softer. You can never disagree with the principle. This is the moment of covenant. We have taught the tools, we have faced the traps, we have met the models, now we must bind the heart. Write this down. Fame can lift you, but only character will keep you. Tweet that to somebody right now. Choose longevity over virality. Virality is a spark, longevity is a furnace. The furnace runs on principles that never change. You can ignore this, but you can never disagree with the principle. A covenant is not a feeling. It is a self-imposed prison that protects your freedom. Character is self-imposed discipline. The scriptures are clear. If a man vows a vow, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceeds out of his mouth. Numbers 30:2. Ecclesiastes 5:4 warns, when you vow a vow to God, do not delay paying it. Why? Because vows fix you when seasons test you. When the lights are hot and the room is loud, vows whisper, be the same. A is still A at 2 a. In the Shema declares, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Deuteronomy 6:4. Be like your God, one, integrated, the same at home and on stage. The same with staff and with strangers. The same in your sermons and in your searches. Write it down. I am one person everywhere. So here is our covenant. Say it with me. I am one person everywhere. I will not trade principles for popularity. I will not trade integrity for income. I will not trade covenant for chemistry. I live loudly with nothing to hide. There is no such thing as a private life. Honesty is my only policy. My gift will serve. It will not perform. True leaders never seek followers. True leaders serve people. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve. Mark 10:45. I bind myself to my convictions today, so my future will not bind me in regret tomorrow. Write it down. Tweet that, then live it. Here is your 3 0-day integrity challenge. This is not theory, this is training. Day 1 to 3, write your values constitution, 12 words, not 12 pages. Define them and attach behaviors. Honesty, no lies, no spin, no hidden fees. Stewardship, 2 signatures. Receipts in 48 hours. Third-party audits. Purity, no private messages after 10 p.m. Glass rooms, daylight meetings. Accountability, plural, decision making on big calls. If it is not measurable, it is not enforceable. Day 4 to 7, share with your spouse, your family, your board, your team. Invite critique. Publish it to those who can correct you. Joshua said, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Joshua 24-15. Make it house-wide. Make it organization-wide. Day 8 to 14. Install 2 new guardrails where pressure is rising. If power is up, widen accountability. If money is up, tighten control. If access is up, raise proximity protocols. We are not naive. We know the 3 tests: power, money, access to sex. Pre-build your fences. Day 15 to 21, practice radical transparency. Post your values in your office. Open your calendar to your spouse or your accountability partner. Publish a summary audit to your core team. Never do anything you don't want anyone to find out about. Write it down. Tweet that to somebody right now. Day 22 to 30, rehearse and review. Daily vow recitation, weekly Sabbath, a 2-hour retreat to test cracks, prune weights, and raise the walls where storms hit. Hold fast the confession of our hope without wavering, for he who promised is faithful. Hebrews 10:23. Fame can lift you, but only character will keep you. Say it again until it offends your ego and heals your soul. Choose longevity over virality. Longevity requires vows. Vows require enforcement. Enforcement requires humility. James writes, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. James 1-8, double life, double mind, double fall. Oneness is stability. Holiness is stability. Integrity is stability. You can never disagree with the principle. I commission you now not to chase platforms, but to build a life that can survive them. Lead with your life. Let your gift be fruit, not fireworks. Fruit grows slowly, quietly, consistently, and it serves whoever comes. Fireworks are loud, brief, and gone, leaving only smoke and a smell. Your gift is your leadership fruit. Trees don't bring fruit to people. People come to the tree. Stand in one place long enough, with one character long enough, and people will trust the shade. Paul said, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. 2 Timothy 4-7. Finishing is the proof of character. Starting is cheap. Finishing is expensive. Pay the price in private now. I am going to ask you to lock yourself in the prison of your convictions. That prison has doors called no. No to secret chats that flatter your loneliness. No to money with strings that strangle your standards. No to stages that require you to costume your conscience. No to jokes that leak your vows. No is holy. No is protective. No is freedom. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 4:23. Guard it with gates, with vows, with audits, with friends who are allowed to say you are drifting. Let me give you the law one last time. Never do anything you don't want anyone to find out about. That one sentence can save your marriage, your ministry, your business, your mind. Tweet it, frame it, teach it to your interns and your teenagers. If it needs a cover, it should be cut. If it feels light, kill it before it kills you. For nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest. Luke 8:17. Visibility is not your enemy when integration is your identity. Now lift your right hand with me. This is covenant, not performance. Say it aloud. I covenant today to be one person everywhere. I covenant to live by measurable values, to submit to accountability, to honor Sabbath, to serve with my gift. I covenant to pre-decide my answers to power, to money, to sex. I covenant to do nothing in secret that I cannot defend in the light. I covenant to choose longevity over virality. Fame lifts me, but only character will keep me. Honesty is my only policy. I am not for sale. A is still A at 2 a.m. Heaven heard you. Your future is safer now. Go and lead with your life. Build a house on rock, hear and do. When the floods come, and they will, you will not fall. Matthew 7:24-25. Lock yourself in the prison of your convictions so you can walk free in any room. Write it down, tweet it, live it. And when they turn the lights up, you will already be the same. You can never disagree with the principle.